have a hearing problem. I had it as a kid. She had a beautiful voice, and I always wanted to sing. When I'd start singing, she said, "Betty, sing a little softer."
Is your mother?
Yeah.
Okay.
So she's could she sing and play the piano? So, but I'm not. I don't have music. I don't care to play anything.
Okay.
So.
Do you juggle? You did dance. I know that. You were a dancer.
Well, I just ballroom dancing. Yeah.
That's all you need.
Yeah. I danced to every big band there is.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Did you see him live?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
Who did you see live?
Let's see. Les Brown. I've lost track of all the. Kay Kaiser, Glenn Miller, Artie Shaw. But you name it. That's what happened during the war. Your big bands would have one-night stands, and they used to come to Waukegan. So I used to go to my grandparents and my Aunt Ruth. My Aunt Ruth lived 5 houses or so down from the corner where this big skating rink was. So I get there Friday after work, and then go over there and skate on Friday. Sailors were good skaters. I've been saying much for the GIs. And then I go over Saturday and dance. And Fort Sheridan was open, and of course we have Great Lakes. So there was always plenty of men there. And so I always danced. And I enjoyed that. Yeah.
Did you have, there was a thing, the dance card or something, where people would like...
No. Mm-mm.
You know what I'm talking about? I can't remember what it's called.
I know what you mean, but no, we didn't have that.
Okay. It was just first come, first serve?
Yeah.
Somebody said, asked nicely?
Yeah.
All right.
So that was,
Now this is before you were married, yes?
Oh, yeah.
So, but was this, no, this is during the war.
Yeah.
So, you were long distance in a relationship with my grandfather.
Yeah.
And he didn't mind you dancing with all these strange soldiers?
No, because he was dated. We both thought we were so young, we better find out for sure if we want each other. And so he dated, and he told me about it in his letters. I told him about dancing, and but I always compared the fellas I danced with was the way your grandfather danced. He was smooth.
Oh, he was a good dancer, huh?
Oh, yeah. And so, anyways, then he got lonesome and I got lonesome and we got married. So that was it. So I didn't. But Glenn Miller, I love his music. I got CD on him. Oh, boy.
The man was good?
Mm-hmm. Kay Kaiser had Ishkabibble, who was funny.
I'm sorry, Ishkabibble?
Mm-hmm, Ishkabibble.
What's an Ishkabibble?
He would comb his hair down, and then he'd come and talk to Kay Kaiser. And his jokes, I tell you, we just laughed and laughed. And there's always entertainments with them. And so I had a good time.
Yeah.
Oh.
Now, you weren't like working for anyone in official capacity. You would just show up to dance with the soldiers?
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't like a part-time job or something?
No.
It was just,
It
you
was
knew
just
soldiers
there.
would be there and it was
Yeah.
fun for you?
Waukegan was very good to the servicemen.
Mm-hmm.
They had shifts on restaurants, and they were open all night.
All right.
And the shows were open all night because a lot of fellas didn't have enough money for a hotel room or something, and they slept in their seat there.
Huh.
And they didn't mind it.
All right.
And they were well behaved. They never had any problem with the servicemen. So that was nice of them to do that.
Mm-hmm. Did you bring like girlfriends with you and make it an event?
No, I went right from work. I worked down in Chicago, and then I took the North Shore to Edison Edison Square. I got off of there, and my aunt picked me up.
Well,
And,
you worked downtown?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I thought you worked somewhere closer to home.
No, downtown.
That was the accounting job.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where downtown?
On Wells Street. It's now part of the Eisenhower Expressway.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So you can drive over it, but you can't stop there anymore.
Right.
Okay.
So, yeah, I worked on Wells. It was way down, about 2 blocks down. And of course, the depot for Aurora and Elgin, the station is right down Wells. So that was no problem.
All right.
Oh. And in those days, you could walk any place.
Hmm.
Because I had a girlfriend that the family moved to Chicago, and we would meet on Friday nights, and this was before the war, and go to have dinner and then go to the show. So I was walking from State Street clear to Wells by myself about midnight every night, every Friday or so, whenever we meet.
Then you
No
felt
problem.
Huh?
And you weren't scared about anything, you know, it's just, it was there, I mean.
safe. There weren't homeless vagabonds on every corner?
Hmm.
Huh. Well, things are different now.
Yeah, much different. And kids played outside now. All my kids played out baseball. They went fishing by themselves.
Mm-hmm.
You don't see any kids out now playing.
No,
So,
times they are changing.
yep.
Let me check and make sure that sounds good. I probably will, but...
I'll tell you, I've coughed like this for, I guess, all my life. And when Patsy was being capped, and they had like a ceremony downtown in one of the churches, and we went down there, and she was in the choir, and she said she kept looking and looking to see where we were. And so she said, I don't think my parents are here. And with that, I coughed. She said, oh, they're here.
Now, you were never a smoker, were you?
No, mm-mm.
Okay.
Never smoked, never drank.
Never.
Never.
You were a Baptist.
No, I wasn't a Baptist at
Never
that
went
time,
with
but
people who
I
did.
just, I never did.
Okay. Now, that story is from when she got her, nursing degree, or
Yeah, and her cat, the ceremony to get their cap.
the graduation?
Yeah, it was part of the graduation. She still had, I'd have to ask her what it was.
Oh, I got an
forgot.
email from her this week. I forgot. We were talking about this last time. Hold on, I gotta find one of my timelines. She said that she got married January 30th of 1965.
Okay.
So, I backed up and I did the math. So 1960. So this is kind of where we left off. We got all your kids from 59. So in 1960, as the 60s begin, Pat turns 17 at the end of the year. My mother, Jan, turns 15. Tom turns 13. Dee Dee would be 8, and Larry would be 1 during the year of 1960.
Okay.
So you've got 3 teenagers, an 8-year-old, and a 1-year-old. How was that?
Fine.
Okay.
No complaints. My mother, and I had my mother, she had cancer, and she was bedridden, and I take care of her, and the girls would take care of the baby, Larry. And we had it all planned out, how to handle everything.
Okay.
So,
Although 5 years later, Pat is married.
mm-hmm.
So when and where did she meet Richard?
Oh, in church.
Oh, at church.
Yeah,
Okay.
they were high school sweethearts from high school on.
Hmm.
And they had what they call afterglow after church on Sunday nights, and they would go to that, and then they always had activities for their high schoolers, and they went roller skating, and Richard, he said, "Oh, I think I like to skate with her," and another fellow thought, "I would too." They were talking, they were friends. And Richard said, "I'm going to take her." And so that started the romance. So after they were married, we were talking about it, and he says, yeah. He says, I got stuck with her. He says, the other fella wouldn't take her. And then she lost her wedding ring. I think that's the one. You'll have to ask her. And they went to Sears. I went with them. And he says, we had the two their kids with us. And he says, we want to look at wedding rings. And then they sit down. He says, yeah, but finally better get married. The fellow looks at the little kid.
That was funnier back then. So, I'm sorry, how old were they when they met? You said they were in high school?
When they got married?
No, when they met.
Oh, and they met in high school. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Well, no, that's wrong. They met in church because they went to the afterglow of the high schoolers, and they met there.
Okay, now did he not go to York?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
But he was a year ahead of her.
Okay. So they went to the same school, but they got to know each other in church. And was that First Baptist Elmhurst?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. Well, I want to ask about more of that stuff later. But so having hit 1960 here, so you've had children for 17 years at this point, and you still have a 1-year-old. So you got the spectrum still in the house. So what I wanted to ask about was special events. So this is not just with the kids, but with the whole family. So did you have special things you did for birthdays? Like whether that's just in general or for them individually?
We just would have a family dinner and a party for them, like.
Okay.
And they would do that for Lori and I too, for their mother and dad. And they would bake the cakes then for us.
Did they? Did you teach them how to bake cakes?
Must have. I guess so.
Well, you told me last time that when you got married, you didn't know how to make anything.
No, I didn't.
And so you decided to teach your kids.
Yeah, I did, and I must have taught the kids. Yeah, yeah, I guess I must have then.
Okay.
I was just so busy with them. I mean, that's
sure.
And
but when it was your birthday, they would make you a cake.
Mm-hmm.
How did those turn out?
And
were they good?
One of them, of course, always be chocolate, and they put M-O-M, Mom. But when they brought the cake in, it was turned around, and I looked at it, I says, wow? And one of them got up and turned it around. Oh, dear, and they laughed so, cause I had such a puzzled look on my face, I guess. I didn't think, Mom.
It's like, wow, it's your birthday.
Yeah.
Wow, it's a cake. If the cake is good enough, it deserves that.
Mm-hmm.
So, but here's the thing: is like my generation as parents, we're very dedicated to theme parties. Like when my daughter has a birthday party, we have to say, all right, what's the theme?
Oh.
And so, like her first birthday party, the theme was Cat in the Hat, and so we had Cat in the Hat decorations and hats and
Yeah.
Did you guys ever do anything like that?
No.
It was just birthday cake.
Just birthday, yeah.
All right. Did you do balloons and streamers or just
No, just birthday cake and presents, that's all.
piñata? Nothing? Did you do a piñata? Pin the tail on the donkey? Any traditional games?
No, That was it then.
Did you sit and talk about the weather and argue about taxation?
I could just see that. But
Did they do anything for each other? I mean, like when Larry turned 1, was that? Did you guys even do 1-year-old birthday party? Like, I think it's ridiculous because the child is not going to remember it. Like now, it's a photo op for the parents. We get our child playing with a cupcake for the first time.
I can tell you one incident. We never had them until they would go to school. They didn't know anything about birthday parties. And that was Dee Dee's birthday coming up, and everybody was saying, "And you're going to be 3." She says, "Yeah." I said, "How old are you now?" She says, 2. I said, "You're going to be 3," and all of them the kids were all telling her that. So on her birthday, they said, "How old are you?" 3. So the next day, I said, "How about that, Dee? How old are you?" 2. was 300 birthday, and that was it.
Well, you only need it once.
Oh.
Did the kids do anything for each other for their birthdays?
Not until they got older, in high school or so, they didn't.
Okay.
I don't think so. Mm-mm. I guess one reason is being somebody from the, what was it? When I was a kid, there wasn't much money.
Oh, the
And
Depression era.
The Depression, and
Oh, I didn't even think about that. So you guys wouldn't have done much in the way of...
no, and we would just have a cake and a present. That's all.
Yeah.
And because see, we had grandmas living with us, and then my uncle lost his job, and so my uncle Frank and Rose came to live with us, and so that sort of stretched it, his salary, and then he always. We go every week to Waukegan to see his parents, and he would always leave some money for them, and to make sure that they had enough. So it was, and we never really knew it, because we just had so much fun playing, and then going to Girl Scouts and things like this, So it never occurred to us.
Well, what about Christmas? Did you guys probably didn't do a whole lot in the way of presents for Christmas too when you were a kid?
Well, yeah, my folks did. My mother belonged to what they call a Christmas club at the bank, and she would put I don't know how much money in it, and because otherwise she'd use it for something else, and so there was one for No, that was later, and then. So then they could draw it out at the Christmas time. So that's what the money was for presents for all of us, for us two kids. And we didn't share, like my aunt and uncle lived across the street with their two kids, but we didn't cross, with presents at all. They took care of their kids.
Okay.
So.
What kind of things would you get?
I got a baseball glove.
Did
I'll
you?
remember that. Then the other time, a basketball. And
Do you remember how old were you?
My father always said, I don't have a girl, I have two sons.
How old were you when you got a baseball glove?
I don't know.
What ballpark was that? This is before high school, I imagine, because you played
Oh,
baseball
yeah.
when you were a kid.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was in grade school, that's all I know.
Okay.
And my dad used to take us to the Cubs game.
Mm-hmm.
And
Now, would you drive downtown, or would you take the train to go see the Cubs?
oh no, we drive. My
Okay.
father had a car.
Right.
Because he had to get to work with a car. There were no trains that went out. He was for Standard Brands, and it's probably still someplace in the South Chicago.
Okay.
So he drove, and there were many cars in those days. There was a parking lot, and it would be filled. There now, of course, they were going the streets or something, but not then.
Well, since you brought up the Cubs, let's talk about them real quick.
Okay.
When you went to go see the Cubs play, did they ever win?
Absolutely.
Okay. Was there the seventh inning stretch then?
Oh, sure.
Did you
Oh,
sing
yeah.
the song?
Yeah,
Okay.
we'd stand up and sing. Mm-hmm.
Did you get peanuts and Cracker Jack?
I think we got peanuts.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did they have like hot dogs and stuff? Like,
They
did you
probably did, but we didn't get that.
No. Okay.
So.
See, I'm not really into the whole sports ball thing. So like when I go out, I'm like, do they have bratwurst here? Because to me, like, that's why you go to the stadium is
Yeah.
to get the nachos and the bratwurst. It's an excuse to eat bad food.
Yeah. Well, you pay for the tickets, and you don't say, can I have this or that, a hot dog or something. We'd wait and see if he would ask us what we wanted. That's the way we were brought up because of the money. We didn't know it was the money situation, but that's just the way we were brought up. So.
I was brought up in the 80s.
Yeah.
Which was very different.
Yes.
We'll talk about the 80s. Okay, so birthdays, because of the way you were raised at that time, that it wasn't a big
No.
deal.
No, it
So when
wasn't.
you had kids, that was just you
Just
did a
party,
family thing.
Family party, yeah.
Okay. Just
Well, now, I think when they were in 5th or 6th grade or something, the girls had friends over from Lincoln School after
Okay.
school for a party. I had cake, that's all.
okay.
And your mind is still on depression.
Mm.
And when you grow up, you're always very careful with money, which I was because of that. So, and I don't think Tom ever had any birthday parties. Boys didn't do that, just girls.
Oh no. Okay.
So, and so that's what it was.
All right. Oh, Cubs game was on my list. I can mark that off.
Mm-hmm.
I come prepared. I have notes.
Well, the Cubs game, we went always on a Friday if they were in town. That was my dad's day off. And then, too, that was Ladies' Day. The ladies got in free.
Okay.
And so then my mother didn't sit with us. She had to sit on on this side with all the other ladies because they didn't pay for a ticket.
So there was a ladies section.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Oh. So your mother would come with you, but then she'd have to sit somewhere else.
Yeah.
That's
And my Aunt
interesting.
Ruth would be there. And so what she used to do is she always saved a seat for my mother. She had a dish towel and she'd wave it. And my mother, oh dear, well, I'll never forget that. When then she'd wave it over, we always sat on the Cubs side by their dugout there. And she'd wave over to us to let us know she's there.
Now I've seen pictures of people from old Cubs games where it seems like men would wear like nice slacks and a tie to go see baseball. Mm-hmm. Is that what you remember?
Mm-hmm.
What did you wear?
And we wore dresses and sort of dressed up. I mean, it wasn't slacks or tennis shoes or anything like that. Yeah.
So, did you think of it as being a special event, like going to the theater, like that kind of thing?
No.
Okay,
It
so
was just something to do,
Well-
something that we could do.
but why wear something nice to watch a baseball game?
Because you never wore slacks. I can show you movies where we went on picnics and Grandma and Grandpa were there and all this. They're all dressed up. My grandma had her pretty dress on and her hat. And I did have culottes on, and that would look like a skirt. It was full, so I could wear that. And otherwise, everybody was dressed.
Is that what you wore around the house? Like if after school or?
Yeah. And then slacks came in because of Marlene Dietrich. She was a movie star.
Oh yeah.
And so the first time she had it, they didn't put pockets in it. And so then they put pockets in it for her. So we all got them. And they went like hotcakes.
Wait, so when did women wearing pants become a normal thing?
Oh, let me think. What grade was I in? I must have been in grade school.
Okay.
Yeah, but by say 5th or 6th grade probably.
Okay.
That's when slacks came in.
'Cause,
So I used to come home and change my dress and put my slacks on. And then go out and either climb trees or play baseball or something. So,
okay. So up until then, you just only wore dresses, even when playing baseball.
I didn't, yeah, I guess so, because
Okay.
we didn't have slacks. Oh, no, I had, my cousin Howie was 4 years older than I was. So when he outgrew his pants, either his slacks or his knickers first, I would wear them.
I'm sorry. What is a knickers?
Oh, knickers were pants that you wear that stop here with like elastic.
So like long shorts
Yeah,
or like short pants.
they
guess
were
depends
just
how tall
called
you are.
knickers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because they're pants if you're short, but they're shorts if you're tall.
Right.
Okay, so, but in general, girls didn't wear pants like as a normal thing until you were in grade school or middle school?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I remember you told me that story about being in Mexico or something, where like there were some Spanish-speaking men who were offended at the fact that you girls at the table were wearing
well, Uncle
pants.
Roger, Uncle Roger and Aunt Emily weren't really our aunt and uncle.
Right.
That's what we called their friends.
They had moved down to Texas.
And they moved down there, and we went down to see them. They lived in Brownsville. And he took us into Mexico, and he says, we'll go to some places the tourists don't go.
Wait, how old are you at this point?
Huh?
You're in high school at this point, right?
Yes, in high school.
Okay.
And I had slacks on, never wore shorts.
Okay.
And
But so by this time in your life, that was a normal thing.
Yeah.
Like it had been quite a
right,
few years.
but not for a village that never got out. And
Okay.
the girls had shorts on.
Okay.
And Emily's two daughters. And
Oh, so this being Mexico might have been a sort of conservative Catholic town then.
probably, I don't know.
Okay. Well, I'm just thinking of reasons why they would even notice, but that makes sense at least.
Yeah. And so Uncle Roger, of course, spoke for Spanish. And he said, keep your voices down. So he was listening. And they were over there arguing about it. Who in the world are we, and why are our legs showing, and all this and that. So he says, get in the car and don't ask any questions. So we were all told to go get in the car. And Emily drove. My mother didn't. So my mother got in the back car, in the back of the seat, and with my brother, and I got in the front. And pretty soon, my dad just walked out, got in the car and started. And Aunt Emily had their car started, and she was driving. So he paid and got in it, and with that, you look behind and you can see the fellas coming out from the store. So, but
Well,
that was it. They don't have cars.
They got to be in their bonnet about something.
Yep.
Okay. But back home, that had become normal.
Yeah.
Okay.
That was normal. Then we went to another village that tourists went to, and we went on a Friday night in the town square. The boys would go around in this square. There was music, and they would go around, and the girls would come this way, and they would pass each other.
Okay.
So if a boy decided he liked this girl or that, he would tell his chaperone. The chaperone then would be with them constantly. And so that's the way people got married down at this village.
Okay.
So, that was interesting.
Did you dance with any boys at the square?
No, we were outsiders. I might get picked.
Well, I don't know.
No, we just watched. I mean, the
Okay.
tourists were always watching. So that was interesting. And I told my mother, I says, maybe we should do that. Maybe I'll find a boyfriend.
Did she like that idea?
No, not quite.
No. Okay. So you would get dressed up to go watch the Cubs play. Okay. That's nice.
Well, they didn't think in those days to wear slacks or things like that.
Yeah, we're a bunch of savages now.
Or picnics. Picnics, you were dressed up too. So
Oh, we dress up to go to church. We don't even do that anymore.
I know. Wow.
We are a bunch of savages now. Every now and then I look back and I think, man, people used to have class, and then I'm blaming the 60s
Yeah.
because I wasn't there, so I don't have to take any credit for it. But I'm like, people used to dress up to go to church, and now we're all like, whatever's clean. We're clean
Yeah.
enough. Like,
Yeah.
part of me feels bad about that, but then I'm like, I don't really have nice things.
Well, not only that, but for Easter holiday, all the kids got new outfits, and I
Really?
made straw hats one year for the three girls, and I bought myself a new suit, and I had gloves and a real pretty hat, and that's the way you dressed in those days. And
Did you have an Easter parade?
oh,
There's
was there one?
Apparently, there's a movie called that. It's a Fred
Well,
Astaire
that's
film.
in New York, though. I don't know. No, we didn't go to. We just went to church, and then.
I think it was a thing in Iowa. It's something that Jenny's family's familiar with. There's a movie by Fred Astaire, and there's a song,
Right.
Easter Parade.
Yeah, and Judy Garland, yeah.
That's the reason why people started wearing hats again after the 60s. But I don't know anything about it because I don't wear those kind of hats.
Yeah.
They don't go with my outfit.
Well, the men used to wear straw hats.
Oh, yeah? For Easter?
No, for baseball games. I happened
Oh,
to
okay.
just think. My dad had a straw hat. And you look around, and that's what all the other men had.
Oh, like those round ones that the barbershop quartet guys wear.
It's just a straw hat. It's straight straw rim, and then a black band around, and then the top.
Yeah, yeah. Huh.
You've seen them in the movies, probably.
I've seen them.
Yeah,
I might have even worn one. I don't own one now, but
yeah.
I wear a lot of hats,
So,
both literally and figuratively. Okay, so Easter. I didn't think to ask about Easter. I've got a couple holidays written down, but did you do it other than dressing up special? You said you got new outfits for Easter.
yeah,
Okay.
with the kids. And are you talking about when we're married and we have the kids, right?
Yeah. Or
Yeah.
either one, whatever.
We got dressed up for that, and the kids had new dresses, and Larry or Tom had got a new jacket or maybe slacks too, and
Okay. Now, was it just basically to wear for Easter, or was it
No.
Easter is the event where you got it and then you wore it?
we wore.
Right.
Then they wore it to church
Okay.
or any doings with the families.
Okay.
We
so,
were very close to my dad's family, very close.
okay.
We all got together at Grandpa and Grandma's house on Sunday, and
No, I'm sorry. You say grandpa and grandma. That's your kids' grandparents.
Grandpa and Grandma were my dad's parents.
Your dad's parents.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
that was in Waukegan, and the family would be his brother, Uncle Charles, with his kids, Uncle Frank and Aunt Rose. They didn't have kids. Uncle Pat and Aunt Tess. They didn't have kids. Let's see, who else? They were all brothers and sisters of my grandpa
Okay.
with their kids, and everybody was dressed.
And you
because
would. This
that
is a
was
weekly
Easter.
thing.
And
that-
even for Sunday, you're dressed.
Right. So Easter, you get new outfits, but those became your Sunday outfits.
Then we wore those for Sundays, or
Okay.
for parties, or anything family doings.
But Easter was an event to get those new outfits
Mm-hmm.
every year. Okay, that makes sense. So on getting together at your grandparents', was that your Easter thing, or is that a regular Sunday thing, or?
No,
Both?
it was once a month they got together for sure.
Okay.
But every now and then they'd pop in or call and say they were coming, to Grandpa and Grandma's.
Okay.
And that's where it was, because the Chicago bunch would come to Waukegan, and then the suburban, I had two aunts lived in Des Plaines, so that way they figured, then Grandpa and Grandma didn't have a car,
Hmm.
so, and Grandpa said, I'm not going to learn to drive.
He just never had a car?
No,
Oh.
not that, Grandpa, that's my dad's father.
Okay.
He never had a car. No.
Okay. Did you guys do the whole Easter bunny thing?
No.
Painting eggs or?
Oh, yeah, we painted eggs, yeah, the kids did.
Okay. Now, did you pretend that the Easter bunny had come and brought baskets? Was that a thing? You know what I'm talking about, right? Like, basically, it's the new Santa Claus. It's this imaginary rabbit character.
We didn't have anything like that.
Did you know people that did?
If I did, I don't remember.
Okay.
I mean, we were
I don't
just...
know when that became a thing.
I don't either, because we were just always family on holidays.
Okay.
So we were always together at Grandpa and Grandma's.
Now, after you painted the eggs, did you go hide them and make the kids go look for them?
Yeah, I think
Okay.
they did, yeah.
Now, when you found the eggs, did you eat them?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I put them in the refrigerator, and then we peeled them and
Okay.
sure.
I've known people who don't, and I guess it depends how long it takes you to find them.
Well, we didn't put them down until the night before, and they found them the next morning, and I stuck them in the icebox
Okay.
or in the refrigerator. I'm dating myself.
That's what these stories are for. I know what life was like in the 80s. I want to hear what it was like before then. So did you do the Easter egg hunt at your grandparents' house, or was that something you
at
did?
home before we went to Grandpa's.
Okay. Was that before church, like first thing in the morning
We never went to church.
on Easter?
Our family,
Oh,
No, the only time my folks and Bud and I went to church was on Christmas Eve. And then in high school, I decided there has to be something more. And so the people next door were going to the Episcopal Church. So there was no bus service in Elmhurst.
Mm.
So I said, oh, that's my dad's church. That's what the one he went with as a kid. So I started going. And that's where Sunday school class, I told you about that.
right.
And so I thought, well, this is not, I'm not learning anything here. So I didn't go to church then until I met your grandfather. Went with him.
Right.
I did go a couple of times because we got bus service, and I was working, and it was a nickel. And I thought, do I want to spend the nickel or do I want to walk uptown? And I think I walked uptown, but then took it home because otherwise that was a whole dime. Now, see, that's thinking again, the way things are. And I had my own money now, and I wasn't about to spend it on foolishly.
I could throw away 5 cents on a bus.
Yeah, no way.
Oh my goodness. All right, so sorry, I've crossed my timelines in my head, so I got to ask clarifying questions. So when you were going to your grandparents' house, was that when you were a kid, or is that something you did after you moved back up here with your children?
No. This was when I was a kid.
Okay, that's what you
Yeah.
did for Easter.
Yeah.
So
No.
when you
Grandpa-
were, I'm sorry.
Grandpa and Grandma were both gone. They died when our kids were little, so
Okay.
they wouldn't even know them.
Okay.
And so Grandpa died. Well, first my dad died. He was 52, heart attack.
Mhm.
And that was very hard on my grandpa, losing his son.
Mm.
So, but then my grandma died. And so they really didn't know him because they were way up in Waukegan, which is 40 miles. And I didn't have time to go up there, much with all the little kids. So
No, I understand
the
that.
family sort of split then after the war.
Okay.
You didn't see the way you used to be. So everybody was working.
Just in terms of your family, or is that sort of a cultural thing that became
I think it
everyone's
was
norm?
culture. And because they didn't have to help the families anymore. They had their own money and they didn't get together. And then too, little by little, when they got jobs, sometimes they were transferred. See, we were all together. And then I know Chuck, that was a cousin of mine, was transferred to Colorado. And so was Roy with Mansville. And no, he went to New York first. Yeah. So little by little, everybody's going their own way.
Mhm.
So there wasn't the closeness you had.
So when you were living up in Elmhurst and you had your own kids, what was your Easter tradition with them? You got new outfits for the kids.
Mm-hmm.
Did you go to church with them on Easter?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
We went to church, and I usually had a big dinner. The roast would be in the oven while we were in church. And Grandma, Lori's mother, would come over. Grandpa was already gone. And let's see where. Then, of course, my mother came to live with me when my dad died. And so she was there. But she didn't go to church with us.
Okay.
And she wasn't saved until she was on her deathbed. I
Right.
think I gave that to you.
Mm-hmm.
And so we had a nice dinner, and then by that time, Pat and Rich were getting together, so then he'd come over
Okay.
and spend the afternoon there with her and the family, or they'd go out for a ride and come back.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So did you do the Easter egg hunt with your kids in Elmhurst?
Easter, you mean in the family, in the house?
Well, wherever, inside, outside, but like you said that was something you did as a kid. Is that something you did with your kids, hiding the
Yeah.
eggs around the yard and stuff?
Mhm.
So did you go hide them the night before?
Oh, yeah,
So did they go look for them that morning before church?
yeah,
Okay, so they would get up and run out and find eggs.
Yeah. Mhm.
Then you would put on your new outfits and go to church.
yeah,
And then the family would come over.
right,
There you go. There's tradition.
yeah.
Wonderful.
So, yeah, we always had a nice dinner, and then sometimes Grandma Crippen that's the kids, your grandfather's mother, would like to cook, and she would cook, and then we'd always on Sunday we were with her, and either our house or her house, or we would go out with the kids. But as they became teenagers, they wanted to be home. We could go. They wanted to go out, but they wanted to get home because their friends. They wanted to be with their friends.
Okay.
So,
Kids.
yep.
I know how they are. Did the church do anything special on Easter? Like, how did the church recognize Easter when your kids were young?
Well, the sermon, of course, would be on Jesus rising, but I don't remember really.
Hmm.
I don't think there was anything special. I think the women, no, that was Mother's Day that we would get something, get a little plant. No.
Did you do the Easter lilies? That's
No.
been a thing. No.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
No, that was it.
All right. Well, still, it's good.
Yeah.
I've actually attended an Easter church service where they did not mention the resurrection. I could not believe it.
Really?
It was one of these churches that had just swung the pendulum to seeker sensitive so far that they just failed to mention Jesus' resurrection on Easter. And I'm like, what are you doing? It's literally the only reason we're here.
Yeah. Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
No,
some
they
people-
had that because they had lilies on the altar, down below, and
Right.
so, and then those lilies would go to the people that were ill.
Okay.
If they were in a hospital or taken to their home. So,
That's nice.
yeah.
Remembering people. All right, so what about Christmas with your kids? Did you guys do things like, what did people go caroling door to door in your neighborhood?
Go door to door for what?
Caroling, singing Christmas songs.
Well, the churches did that. Which one was it? I don't know if it was both girls or just one of them or something. They would go out. They would get together from Afterglow and go out and carol.
Okay.
And that was all.
Okay. So what was Christmas like for your kids? First of all, did you do the Santa Claus thing with them?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we did that. Hmm.
Okay, but
They
like,
were waiting, and one year, the three were in high school. Janice wanted ice skates so bad, and so they said, "Give us the initials of what we're getting down there." They look at the box, so they came to Janet, and I thought, a BB, and or no WB. And so she ran upstairs. I didn't get my ice skates. See, she expected that. Well, what I went was a white box.
right?
And so when she opened up, she had these white skates. and she couldn't get over that. I switched everything with, what did I get, Pat? I can't remember, but I turned the initials back. If it was an S in the front, I put it in the last or
Okay.
something. I don't remember, but because they had me on the spot, you know.
Mm.
So, but they all would look at me when they opened them. This is what I wanted. So,
But do you remember some of the things they wanted? My mother wanted ice skates. Do you remember any of the others?
no, I don't. That just stood out. So.
Okay.
Because she was so mad at me. And right upstairs, she wouldn't even stay downstairs. And she was really hurt, you know, because she wanted those ice skates so bad.
Kids.
So, but I didn't want to ruin Christmas by telling her. So,
I find it weird. Like, I don't think I did as a kid, but now I'm like, I'm going to get you to tell me what you want. I'm going to get it, and then I'm going to hide it in a box and pretend that I don't know what you want. When we both know you've told me what you want, and it's in that box under the tree. Like,
oh wow.
the whole Christmas thing just doesn't make sense to me. I'm a weird cynic who grew up at a weird time. But like my wife, I'm like, I never know what to get my wife for Christmas, because like if she wants something, I don't wait till December to get it for her. And if it's something I can afford, she already has it. So I get to December and I'm like, what do you want / need that you don't already have that I can afford? Like, I need a new car. Probably not going to be under the tree. But otherwise, I'm like, I don't need anything.
We'll put the car keys in and on for a Christmas card.
So that's my problem every year.
Yeah.
My wife takes care of that because she
Yeah.
has a better sense of how it works. So did you get your kids like practical things or just fun stuff? Or both?
Both, really, I think. And then we would listen to their conversations to know what they wanted. And we always tried to get what they wanted.
Okay.
So,
Now, was there a mall Santa at the time? Could you take them to see Santa?
well, when they were little, yes.
Okay.
Because we used to go downtown. I'd take the three of them downtown. I think I told you
Oh,
that.
yes,
have
but
breakfast under the tree.
I haven't got to hear about that in detail. I want to hear about that in detail.
Oh, well, we went down.
Now, would you take the train or would you drive?
No, we drove.
Okay.
Let's see, I guess Lori drove. I can't remember and we would go down, and Lori wasn't with us, though. It must have been with the girlfriend with their kids. I can't have to ask the kids.
Okay.
And we go down and have breakfast under the tree
Now, this is at Macy's.
at Fields.
Fields. Okay.
Yeah, and the tree was always so beautiful. And after that, they couldn't wait, because then we could go and see Santa Claus. And then that was in my day. After that, then we go to the game, or the games room where all the toys were. And it was on the 4th floor, and it was a huge place. And they each had some money. My mother would give them each some money, and so they could pick something up. And they just
for
loved
themselves?
that.
For themselves?
Mm-hmm.
So your mother gave them money to buy themselves a Christmas present.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's a good plan.
Yeah,
That works.
it does. And they would take their time and see everything.
So did she go with you downtown?
No, she was working then.
Okay.
My dad died, and she was in her 40s, so she went to work.
Okay.
And
So she gave money to the grandkids,
Right.
her grandkids, your
Yeah.
children, and then
Mhm.
you went downtown and they got to spend it
right,
in the toy department.
yeah. So that was fun for him.
Okay.
Well, now, when my brother and I were growing up, when we were in grade school, my mother would take us down to Fields. She loved Chicago. She worked in Chicago. And she would take us down to Fields, and we'd have breakfast under the tree, like my kids did. And then we'd go and see Santa Claus. And Santa Claus always had, for girls on this side and boys on that, a present for us.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Huh.
And then as we were leaving, there was like a slide, and you waited, and then there was, I can't remember who it was there, and she said, how old are you? And I would tell her. Then all of a sudden something would come down. And so always got two presents
Oh.
from Fields in those days. Oh, we thought we were just so rich.
Magical.
Oh, we couldn't wait to get home. And my mother always said, wait till we get home, because we took the train in.
Mm.
And so we did. And that was always a thrill.
Do you remember what any of those presents were you got?
No, I don't remember.
But you just remember getting.
They were probably games. I don't
Okay.
remember. And then for my birthday, or usually I would get a baseball glove, basketball, or something, because I was a tomboy. I wanted to play baseball. And I played football, and I played basketball.
So was that unusual? Did the other girls in the neighborhood not play games like baseball and basketball?
Well, my girlfriend who lived on the other street, I lived on Mitchell, and she lived on Swain, and she was a tomboy, but she wouldn't climb trees, I remember that. But I did.
Okay.
So, and she played baseball.
Well, just if you're self-applying the phrase tomboy to yourself, I feel like that means that was not the sort of expected normal of girls your age.
It wasn't, no.
Okay.
We played baseball on the streets. There were no cars in those days.
Sure.
And we'd always play in the street. Oh, and then we'd play a game called Pies. Now you sit down, well, our porches, there were always 4 or 5 steps up to the front door, and they would all sit there. And let's see, how did that work? Oh, we'd all have, the leader would say, all right, now what shall we take? Well, let's take a butterscotch pie this time. So then we give them initials, BM, meringue, and they had to guess. And then the one that they went to, we had to give them hints. And then if they got the hint from me, then I had to get up and run. And if they caught me, then I would have to be the one that guesses. And that was fun.
You had to guess the pie.
Yeah.
It was a secret pie game.
And I know I had chased Gerald. Poor Gerald. So I chased him, and he fell on the street and broke his collarbone.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Oh.
And from then on, our mothers said, you don't play that game anymore.
Well, I think he should have learned that when a pretty girl is chasing you, you let her catch you.
Poor Gerald. He was always getting something. He got hit with the baseball once when we were playing. And then as we grew up, I saw him in high school, and he asked me for a date. No, he didn't. He had his mother call, my mother, and said, Gerald would like to take Betty out. And he called her. And my mother said, so you can call. And so he called, and I said, no, I don't want to go out with him. So Mrs. Hedin, that's the mother, called my mother and said, how dare she do that? Why doesn't she want to go out with my son? To her son, it was perfect.
Right.
And I said, I think he's a jerk, that's all. And so my mother said, I can't tell her that. I said, well, tell her everything you want, I don't care. I said, if she asks me, I'll tell him. And she said, no, you won't. You have to be a lady. I said, oh, brother. And so...
Wait, so Gerald asked you out, but what, like, you didn't like the way he treated people?
No, I just didn't like him. I mean, I guess I don't know why. I never liked him as kids growing up.
Oh, yeah?
And he was a jerk. I mean,
Okay.
he didn't know how to throw a baseball right. And I imagine in my mind I was thinking all this. he had broke his collarbone because he was Of course, I figured he was clumsy,
Uh-huh.
and
Well,
so,
see, in my vernacular, when you call someone a jerk, that means they are a person who is disrespectful and selfish.
oh no, it's jerk means you just don't care for him.
Okay.
You know that's the meaning has changed.
The meaning has changed. That's why I'm. See,
Yeah.
that's why I assumed when you said he's a jerk, that meant that he was just not a nice person.
Oh no,
But you just thought
he
he-
was very polite. Oh no, he was very polite.
He was nice. He just wasn't
And,
manly enough
He
for
just
you.
wasn't coordinated,
Okay.
as far as I'm concerned.
Well,
Oh, and then
I'm sure he found a nice
I went
clumsy
out
girl to
with,
fall down with.
I don't know why. My mother belonged to a bridge club, and she said, one day Carl came and picked up his mother from the game. So he saw me, and so he told his mother, I'd like to go out with her. Oh, she says, all right, I'll call. So she calls my mother and said, Carl would like to go out with your daughter. What day would you be available? She's making the date.
Mm.
And I said, of all the jerks. And I said, I'm not going out with him. She said, oh, please do. She said, I'll hear all about it in the bridge club. And I said, why do I have to go out with him? And so I went out with him, and he says, we had a nice time, but I just it didn't excite me. And I thought, that's to him. So
Now, how old are you at the time of these stories? Was this high school?
Yeah,
Okay.
this was high school. And so then he called me. He called me this time, wanted to go out Saturday, and I said, no, I'm busy. And so Monday, Mrs. Carlson calls my mother and says, how dare her? Why didn't she want to go out with my son? He's a wonderful boy. Well, I don't know. I just didn't care for it, you know. My mother said, I'm going to get rid of the phone.
Now, was this at the time where you were fancying Bob and wanted to go to the prom with him?
Do what?
Bob, the guy you wanted to take you to the prom.
Oh, this was before that.
This is before Bob.
Yeah, before
Okay.
Bob. And I had a crush on him. Oh, did I have a crush on him?
So he must have been coordinated and good at sports.
Oh, I don't know about that, but we hit it off in geometry class. I used to help him with the geometry.
Oh.
And we'd sit there and have long talks. I enjoyed talking to him.
Okay.
And, but he was going with a girl named Ruth for 2 years, and then they broke up. So then he asked me to the prom. They broke up in my sophomore year, and then junior year, I guess he was dating other girls, and then he asked me for the prom. And so that was it.
Now, was prom a big deal then? I feel like we talked about this, but I'm not good at remembering stuff. Was prom like a big deal, or is it?
Well, they didn't have the money, you know. And there was, where could a fella take anybody?
Mm.
And so it was just go to the prom and go and get a sandwich or something, and go home. That's all.
Okay.
That's the way it was.
But was it considered like a big deal? Like a lot of youth culture now, like from when I was in high school and since, they kind of treat prom like it's this big deal. Like asking a girl to prom is now given more effort than asking a girl to marry you. Like.
No, it wasn't, because a lot of parents didn't have the money for the
Okay.
kids, you know. So it would,
Like,
if
did
they
you-
could afford it, they could go, you know.
Would it be normal for kids in high school to just go with friends or to go by themselves?
No, it was dates,
Okay, so prom was like a romantic thing?
yeah.
Okay.
Well, for some, yeah, you know.
What about you? Who'd you take to the prom?
I wouldn't be seen there.
Is it because you had higher standards or because they had
Oh,
higher standards?
well, I don't know. I don't have any standards. I don't stand up that much.
I went to 5 proms. So
Did you?
I did when I was a freshman. At least 2 girls asked me. 2 senior girls asked me when I was a freshman.
They
And-
ask you?
Oh yeah, I was very popular in high school.
Yeah, did you know that?
Well, I know,
Things are different now.
yeah, it must be. I would never think of asking a fella. Wow.
Now, to be fair, things were more conservative when I was in high school than they are now. And I say that only because when I tried to run for prom queen, they wouldn't let me. Now they wouldn't dare refuse me. And I'm like, that's not a step in the right direction. Looking back, I'm glad they said no.
Oh, dear.
But no, yeah, I had girls ask me to go to prom. A handful of them. Actually, 3 girls that year asked me to prom,
Wow.
which was flattering. And I went to prom every year of high school, and a couple of, like, at my school and at other schools.
Oh,
So
my goodness.
I was very popular. But to
Yeah,
me,
you must have been.
to me, a dance was just a dance.
Oh.
Like, and I would dance with the girl who brought me, but I would also dance with a lot of other girls. Like, some people felt like, it was just the 2 of them. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I wasn't into that.
No, that's the way it was at the prom. And you went with the fella, and that was it.
Okay.
And it was very quiet. You would sit down for a while, and then go and dance again. And then if you wanted to leave early, the parents usually picked the kids up.
Okay.
We didn't have cars.
Mm.
And the parents would say, well, I'll be there such and such a time. Take us home or take us to, well, let's see, we went over to Kelly's, it's not there anymore, and we had some, I had a chocolate soda, I think, I don't remember, probably. And then he was waiting outside. And so then we get in the car and the fellow would take me home. And that's the way a lot of the dates were.
Okay.
What happened when you got home? Right there at the door.
Nothing.
Your father wasn't waiting?
Did,
Or was your father, did your father pick you up?
No, the fellas, whoever I was with, his father picked us up and took us.
Oh.
Yeah.
One-stop shopping.
And then I dated Jim, and he lived in our neighborhood, so we would walk to the show or walk to the bowling alley. All this was uptown,
Okay.
and come home.
All right, let me back up a step. You have 2 guys who had their mother call your mother
Yes.
to ask. So that wasn't normal then.
No. Can you imagine if
I
your
can't.
mother called for you to want to go out with a girl?
No, I can't.
God.
But I like, I don't know if it was like just one of those sort of cultural respect things. Like,
No,
like you're
no.
supposed to ask a girl's father for his permission before you ask her to marry you, like that kind of thing, which I did.
Yeah.
And my father-in-law, I'm like, I'm asking permission to marry your daughter, and his answer was, well, I don't see why not. I'm like, that's kind of a yes. I think in the years since he could come up with some reasons why not, and I don't know that I would disagree with him, but at the time I'm like, that's close enough. So what was that a normal thing that the boys would talk to your parents before asking you out, or did they just approach you directly?
No, they would come to the door, and then you'd invite them in, and then my father would talk to them for a while
Okay.
and tell them, well, I want her home at a certain time,
Okay.
and so on. And that's the way it went. And then
So-
Eddie came to get me. I was going out with him, and he honked the horn. And I said, oh, Eddie's here. And he said, sit down. So I sat down. I thought, oh. So he honked the horn again. So nothing happened. So then he got out of the car and came to the door, and my father says, it's about time. I thought, uh-oh. I'll never forget that. And then I introduced the girl always introduced the fella, so I introduced Eddie Lodwick to my dad, and he says, why did you honk the horn? He says, well, till we get going. Then he says, that's not polite. And he went ahead and made out a list in how he said, you don't do that, you come to the door. and you pick up the girl, and so on. And he looked at my dad and said, "Oh boy, I know." I thought, well, this is the last date with Eddie. Well, it wasn't. He said he went home and told his mother, and she says, "Well, for heaven's sakes," yeah, he told me. He said, "She told me, well, it's about time when somebody teaches you manners." Well, Eddie and I were friends all through school,
Okay.
and then he went into the service, and they had a big list of fellows that were killed in the York Theater, and I went in and looked, and there was Eddie's.
Mm.
So he must have been killed about when he was 19. He
So-
was at the Battle of Omaha when they went in.
Okay.
So I thought, oh no, Eddie was so funny. So I felt bad about that. Not that we would have gotten together or anything, but he was just a nice guy. So,
There you
A lot of nice guys were killed.
go. Well,
yeah, there are nice guys, a lot. All the fellows I went with were nice. Oh, and then I went out with the football fellow, and my brother didn't want me to go.
okay.
And I said, "Why not?" He said, "I just don't want you to go." So I said, "Well, we're just going to the show." So we went to the show and came home. And they had a slam book, the football players did. And they put in there how far they got with the girl.
Oh, no.
And so there's a by name, Betty Litchfield. Tall, good looking, and then very, boom, 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 reserved.
Well, good for you.
And Bud looked at it, and he said, "You going out with him again?" I said, "No, I don't think so." And I didn't care for fellas. I mean, I just wanted to get out and have a good time. That's
Okay.
all. And but he told me what it said, and I said, "Well, what would he do that for? Why do you have a slam book?" And he said, "I don't know, but they did."
See,
Boys.
this is the problem I have. She doesn't care for the fellas, she's here for the good time.
That's what I wanted.
That's not so bad, frankly. That's how guys like me got
Yeah, I
any
wanted to
attention
go.
at all.
I wanted to go to dancing.
I was
and
also
roller
very
skating.
reserved. The girls like me, but you know.
I think it's fun.
yeah, that's how I was. I
Yeah.
never took that seriously.
So,
But so for you personally, though, the boys would ask you if you wanted to go on a date with them, and then when they picked you up, they would talk to your father.
oh yes,
So
oh yes, that was everybody did that in those days. They come in, and I'd introduce the boy to my father. My father would say, "Sit down," and then he'd start a conversation with him.
okay,
And they talked for a while, and then he says, "Okay, you guys, you better take off." He was satisfied then.
okay.
And
Have her back by a certain time.
yeah, and he said, "I expect you home at a certain time." When I always was home, but I don't know if they do that anymore or not.
Depends on the parents.
I doubt it.
Some parents do. Some parents don't care what their kids do.
Oh dear.
There's a lot of lazy parents, but there's still some that
Yeah.
care about their kids. I mean,
And,
I'm going to be a drill sergeant. I will have the boy investigated before he gets to the door. I will know everything about him. And I will have a hole in the backyard dug exactly his dimensions, which I will show him. Like, just in case.
oh well, I had a date with one of the fellows at the office where I worked.
Oh, no.
George. Oh, he was a jerk.
Now, when
And,
you say he was a jerk, you mean he was rude, or you mean he just was kind of a loser?
No, he was just, I don't know, I just didn't care for him.
Just uninteresting.
So
Okay.
he came, and he lived in Chicago. And when he told me he lived in Chicago, I said, "Well, you probably want to get a Chicago girl then to go out with." He said, "No, I'll come down." So he took the train. So here we are, stuck. And so in our basement, we had a ping pong table and then a Victrola, and with records, and you wind it up, And so I thought, how dare he not take me out? And so anyways, when it came 11 o'clock, I said, "Well, my folks would like me to go to bed go to bed early. And so I said, you'll have to leave. And he left. And then on the next day, all the girls, why didn't you have a good time? Well, I didn't want to embarrass them, so I said, yeah, we had a good time. But to me, that didn't make sense. So,
Not every guy is good with girls.
oh,
So but the whole dating thing, though, so for you it was just sort of like a casual step or getting to know each other.
yeah.
Okay. So was there some kind of like going steady kind of thing where you'd decide at some point or have a conversation about being exclusive, or like
I bet you there was, but with me, I dated, I don't know how many fellas I dated. I just dated. And had a good
So
time. If
were
I
you-
didn't have a good time, then I was very busy when they called again.
But were you never exclusive, like just dating only one guy at a time?
No,
Really?
no way.
Was that normal?
I don't know. It was for me.
Okay. It's just like in my generation and the one after, it seems like people are very, not so much exclusive as jealous and clingy. Like that sort of casual dating thing, I used to do that all the time.
Yeah,
Like, the girl probably wasn't getting a good night kiss, but we'd have some hummus and go out for a good time.
yeah.
But, like, a lot of people don't do that. Like, if it's a date, like, they have this sort of immediate sense that, well, we are a couple, and if you go out with another girl, that they're all offended or something. So,
Oh my goodness.
well, it's,
Yeah.
I feel like our culture has just sort of, because marriage is no longer an important thing, they have to find that sort of exclusivity
Yeah.
and looking for that kind of personal love anywhere they can find it, and so it sort of like shows up at places it shouldn't, which is why high school relationships are such a disaster now, because they try to find that kind of personal intimacy for something because they have no faith that that's coming later. So
Oh.
it just becomes this sort of desperate chasing after the one or whatever. I don't know. I was never.
Well, my my aunts and my grandparents always said, "Now you will always see what these boys, when you fall in love, if they're good to their mother. If they're good to their mother, they'll be good to you." And she said, "Always remember that." They all would tell me this, and I said, "Well, I haven't found anybody. I had a good time. That's all I wanted was a
Okay.
good time." Then I started dating fellas that were 4 years older than I was, and they had good jobs. Well, Bud had a good job, and he took me to one of his office parties and everything. We had a good time.
Who?
What was his last name? Lamy. I don't know his first name. I called him Bud.
Okay.
Well, that's what everybody called him. I don't.
Okay.
And and we had a nice time together.
Okay.
And my mother said, "Well, you've dated him 3 or 4 times." I said, "Yeah," and but it didn't nothing. And then it took 2 years for Lori and I to get together. He said no, and I said no, and so it's.
So it seems like you weren't really anxious to get married.
Oh no.
Okay. But
No.
then you did.
I did. 19, I was 19.
Oh wow. What was?
No, I wanted to be adventurous. I wanted to work, and I wanted to date this, and I wanted to go here. I had different things in my mind, and I don't want to be tied down with anybody.
Okay.
So,
Well, you married a pilot, so that's kind of that middle ground.
yeah.
So was that normal for the girls that you knew in high school, that they like were sort of casual about that and wanted to go have a career and wanted to travel, or were there a lot of girls that were chasing the Mr. Right?
I don't know. The girls I went around with were more like me, so I have no idea.
Okay.
There were some that were going steady. I know that. And I thought, yuck. I didn't want to go with one guy. That was me. And that was Donna, and that was the Muriel. I mean, the 3 of us were 3 musketeers.
Okay.
And so we were very close.
Okay.
I gotta watch her.
Yes.
I'm gonna go with one guy. You know, I don't know what goes on in between, you know,
I,
between hours and, you know.
some questions you don't want to ask. Just keep that door locked.
Yeah.
So, well, I feel like when asking questions on the my wife's side that it was normal for couples to get married like right out of high school. Was that normal in the Chicago suburbs? Were there kids who would meet and get married right after high school, or was it?
No, because the boys were not allowed to marry the girls. You know, we listened to our parents, our generation,
Right.
and they weren't allowed until there was enough money to support them. And
Okay.
so that's the way that went.
So boys went to college so they could get a job, so they had the money to then get the woman.
Right.
That makes more sense that way. Yeah, we don't do that. We
Yeah.
also don't listen to our parents.
It, well, they knew every move you made, you know. So they kept track of all of this, which is good. And now, what do? They put them in a nursery, go to work, and I think that's all wrong.
Yeah.
And I think it's terrible that what these kids are doing. They get married. No, well, if I don't like it, I'll get some. There's nothing sacred about it. Nothing.
There's nothing sacred at all anymore.
No.
I mean, well, again,
Truth
it depends on what.
Truth is relative.
Yeah, but it depends on what part of culture. It seems worse than it is. It seems like everybody has abandoned truth. Everybody has abandoned marriage. But, you know, Trump got elected somehow. There's still people going to all these churches.
Yeah.
Like when I Google churches, I find more than I expect to. I mean, there's more heresy than I'm aware of. But still, the fact that they're there,
Yeah.
I try to stay optimistic. I'm not good at it, but I try. But yeah, I mean, America has definitely seen and Europe ahead of us has seen the decline of the family for all of those reasons.
Well,
Yeah.
the reasons are they don't pay attention to their kids, and the kids don't respect the parents because the parents are working. They're too busy. Oh, I'm so tired tonight. I'll do the dishes. Would you do the dishes?
It's
You
the
know.
abandonment of the Christian church and Christian values. That the
So-
reason why your children are valuable is because they're made in your image, just as you're made in God's image.
Yeah.
And that it's your God-given responsibility to care for your children.
Right.
But
And-
once you throw out God in the Bible, why take care of your kids?
yeah.
I mean, again, your generation, you wanted to have kids.
Right.
My generation accidentally has kids and then goes, all right, well, now what? We got to pay someone
Yeah.
to take care of these kids.
Yeah.
You go to the park and half of the parents are staring at their phone,
Yes.
going through Facebook and ignoring what their children are doing.
Yeah.
And that's their parenting style. They just entertain themselves and don't worry about what their kids are doing. Like,
Which is a shame.
those people are out there.
Yeah.
But not all of them. There's a lot of parents that, I mean, the pendulum swings.
Yeah.
Some people are way too involved in their kids and are only paying attention to their kids and don't have a life of their own. Some people are so busy having a life of their own they pay no attention to their kids. But there's a lot of us in the middle trying
Yeah.
to make
well,
sense.
I think my folks' generation was they paid attention to their kids, but they had friends too. But it was neighbors, and they would get together for parties, and the kids were involved. And they would have let's have a picnic, okay, in somebody's backyard. They all brought the food, and we kids were there. Then the parents, the dads usually, would take us, and we'd go play baseball someplace.
Nice.
And it was always that way with our generation.
That's good.
So,
Yeah, we're trying to do that. You know,
yeah.
I mean, I'm aware that my daughter is going to want to play with her friends and all,
Well, sure.
but I want to make sure that I'm available. You know.
yeah.
So
That she knows that you care for her.
yes, and also
Yeah.
that her friends know who I am.
Yeah.
I don't want to be known just as the adult that lives in her house.
Yeah.
Her friends will know me, and her boyfriends will fear me.
Yeah. So.
Well, what time do you guys need to break for lunch? It's just after 11.